Hello all, Clint Jolly here from Butcher Boy Meat Market down in Reno. Today we're going to talk about what makes a great steak. So first of all, in our opinion, there's three main things that are going to influence the flavor, tenderness, etc. of a steak. One is going to be the breed. In America, Angus Hereford mix. Angus is going to be the most popular, most readily available, and makes up the majority of what we sell. So that breed is going to marble out, grow in different ways. So when you compare like our Wagyu that we carry, the only difference really between the Wagyu and the Angus is the amount of marbling that a Wagyu will naturally put into the muscle, right? That's something from the breed. As an example, you've got other breeds out there, Piedmontese, Gascon, that are naturally tender without the marbling just because of the genetics, okay? So past that breed, you've got the feed portion. The feed portion is going to be difference between grass-fed, grain-fed, and if that grain's majority corn, barley-fed, all these different kind of feed ration or feed mixes that go in there. So again, what we sell as kind of our standard is going to be Nebraska beef. It is grain finished, so grass-fed to start, finished for 4 to 6 months at the end with a majority corn. So corn is going to give, and this is hitting the American palate, corn is going to give beef kind of a sweeter flavor. It marbles it out really well. There's lots of carbohydrates in there. Just gets those cows bigger and fat and happy in a shorter time span, right? The third thing that affects them is conditioning. So conditioning is what happens after that animal is harvested. Get kind of two main things there, wet aging and dry aging. So for us, every steak that we put in the case, we wet age 21 to 28 days. That's when we try to hit. What that's gonna do is those natural enzymes in the meat are gonna start breaking down the connections of the protein, those fibers, right? Enzymes are gonna just loosen those up, makes it a little bit more tender, and the flavor matures a little bit. Past wet aging, you can go to dry aging. Dry aging gives you the benefit of extending the time that those enzymes can go to work while controlling the humidity so that some of the moisture, the water basically evaporates out. That's gonna do two things. It's going to combine or concentrate the flavor just by losing that moisture, and it's going to let those enzymes kind of mature the flavor. So what makes a great steak? Out of those three things, the fourth one would be age. The reason I'm not really digging into age is in the United States, according to the USDA, we can't process animals that are older than 30 months. When you look at Europe, South America, other countries that don't have that thing, you get amazing steaks out of animals that are 48, 60, even 72 months old. The longer it's alive, the more it's eating, the more interesting that flavor gets, right? But in the US, back to what makes a great steak. Different cuts are gonna have different marbling. We've got a top sirloin here, definitely on the leaner side of steak. Top sirloin is gonna have a bit of a fat cap on the outside, a little bit of marbling in there, which means it's gonna be a little bit on the drier side, not in a bad way, still nice and juicy, just doesn't have that succulent fat flavor in there. Just naturally out of that cut. Right up from that in the animal, we've got the porterhouse, which is gonna have the tenderloin. Again, not a lot of marbling, it's a leaner cut, leaner muscle, but gonna be the most tender steak that you get. Just naturally, that muscle doesn't do a lot of work. Other side of that porterhouse is in New York. New York, to me, is kind of the middle ground between lean, but it has enough marbling, enough fat to be a little bit more succulent, right? Very popular steakhouse steak, and you really can't go wrong. I love a porterhouse to share, just my personal opinion. Then you've got the ribeye. Ribeye, different cuts throughout there, but this is right off the chuck end. And that ribeye, you can see the difference between these other ones. Just a lot more marbling throughout it, a lot more fat around there. That's gonna melt down, it's gonna render out, it's gonna increase the flavor, keep it nice and juicy. Then if you wanna step above that, these are all USDA choice, right? You go to USDA Prime, and you can see the difference between a prime New York, and that's a choice, well, porterhouse, but the New York section, right? When you put them side by side, big difference in the marbling that's in there. All those little specks of fat as you cook are gonna render down, turn into a great steak. So, kind of in summary, a butcher shop like ours, we take care of finding the right breed, sourcing the breed that makes sense. We know what the feed is. We go for that corn-fed Midwestern beef that really just hits the American palate. We take care of the conditioning. So past that, all you gotta do is come in, pick out your favorite steak, or just tell us what kind of experience you want. You want something a little bit leaner? We've got that. If you want fatty, succulent, melt in your mouth tender, we've got that. And we're always here to help. So hopefully that helps you guys figure out how to pick out your next great steak. Thanks for watching.